Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Optimize Evony. Today I want to talk to you about how to go about deciding on an account that you might want to buy if you're in the market for it. Not everyone's looking to buy an account, but there are a lot of people quitting right now, which can give you an opportunity to, for a fraction of the cost that it would take to build an account, to buy an account on a really good server or that has a lot of Civ gear or something that will kind of give you an advantage that you don't currently have for a lot less than it would cost for you to do that on your own account. Um, the Pretty much the golden rule of buying slash selling your account is you're never going to, if you're the if the person selling the account is never going to get anywhere close to the amount of money that they've spent on the account, just because that's how the game works. I mean, if you were able to get if you were able to get as much money as you put into the account, like there would be no reason to buy an account. You could just make your account better and get to that point. Uh, and so yeah, that's kind of the whole point of it. But before I get too into it, I wanna really ask you guys for a little bit of help. I know on every video I do my whole little spiel at the end to like and subscribe, but I really am trying to hit some subscriber goals. So if you've been watching the content, if you really like it, you don't want to miss out on any new videos, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps me out, helps you out to find more content and stuff like that. So yeah, uh, if you've already subscribed, thanks. I'll keep putting out some good content for you guys. So, so let's kind of get into the what you're looking for when you're buying an account. This video is gonna be about buying accounts, not selling accounts. And to be clear, I'm not going to be talking about the actual process of buying an account, like who gives money, what the ordering of things go. That's not the part that I'm interested in with this video. I'm just trying to help you look at an account and see the value in an account or to see if it's not valuable. And so that should help you be able to kind of make a determination whether something is worth spending your money on. And again, this is only if you're looking to buy an account. I wouldn't say, if you're already happy where you are, you're already, happy with the account that you have, you don't need to go out and buy another account. That's not what this is at all. I'm just trying to help out people who are already, kind of in the market for it. So there's kind of like probably 5 to 10 main things that you want to look out for. Um, and so one of the first things is, of course, the VIP. The VIP is super important. It gives you a bunch of buffs here, particularly if you get above like level VIP 16, it starts giving you like attack buffs, and it also corresponds to the amount of subs that you can have. The other way to get to have subs is by your ranking. So, they're based on the ranking, you can get a certain number of subs. So I would really say if if you're buying an account, you should have you you should not be buying an account that does not have 9 subs unlocked unless it's on a very new server, or there's or it's really close to VIP 18, or something. Like there's some extenuating circumstance there, that it's very quick to remedy. Otherwise, I mean, getting to 9 subs is one of the most important things in the game. And so if you're not there on an account that you're buying, really you're buying an account to save yourself money and hassle to get a better account, right? And so if you're not if you're not getting a significantly better account, it's not really worth doing. So if you're not getting something that already has 9 sub slots, I would say that account, unless you're paying very little money for it, I would say it's not really worth it. And I would say I would kind of quantify that that account would maybe be more of an alt account rather than a main account, just because it's just so important to have those sub slots. And so that is kind of the main thing you want to look at when you're buying an account. Are you buying an account on your server? And you would either be looking to upgrade and use your current account as an alt, or you're looking to upgrade, sell your account, or you're looking to have your account still be your main and pick up another alt to kind of get more resources. And so that's that's kind of what you would do on your own server. If you're looking to buy on a different server, you're probably either trying to, one, get to a new server. Maybe you have friends on that server. Maybe you think that there's a better team on that server that you can join, or the account is just so much better than your account that you wanna give it a shot. And so that's why I would kind of move to a different server. So as I said, first thing is the VIP. VIP is very hard to get unless you're spending a lot of money. And really, if you're spending a lot of money, that's not really the goal of buying an account. You're trying to buy an account that's already really built up that you don't need to spend a lot more money on, because you're going to get way less for your investment, uh, building up an account further than you are getting an already kind of built account. Yeah, granted, like there is definitely part of the game, and part of the fun part of the game is advancing account, building troops, building better buffs and stuff like that. So I wouldn't advocate for buying the very best account unless you're only interested in the PvP aspect of it. But no account is fully finished. They're continuing to release new features, so it's going to continue to be something that you have to work on. But you want to be essentially ahead of the curve so that you don't have to keep buying, or keep buying packs, or keep investing a ton of money into it if you don't want to. And so VIP, like I said, very important. VIP or rank, get those sub slots, get the extra bonuses, get the extra. One of the things that I really wish that I had was the additional March preset here that I can't get until VIP 18, which is going to be, I mean, as you can see, a long, long way away. A lot of this VIP was from the auction, and so it's I haven't been spending. This is not something that I've spent a ton of money on, and so it's been mostly time and VIP in the auction, and kind of the daily events, uh, donating to the Alliance and stuff like that. That's giving me my VIP. So I'm really not going to get to VIP 18 for a long time. So if I was looking to buy an account, I would want something with VIP 18, so that, one, you don't have to worry about losing Archduke, and you can get that extra sub, or extra March preset, so that you can have another preset. For example, right now I don't have a big siege preset. My alliance doesn't do a lot of big siege, but it would be nice to have a big siege preset to be able to reign for siege rallies, to be able to use it for siege rallies and not have to kind of mess with it on the fly. But right now, with having one preset for joining bosses, and kind of the other four main troop types, including like a small siege, a T11 siege, I have no more slots. So that would be great if I was VIP 18. Of course, VIP 19 gives you permanent regent, which gives you another couple buffs. It's not huge. I would say the difference between 18 and 19 is not something that I would pay, like, you know hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for. Um, Really, it looks like most accounts that I'm seeing are between like $500 and $1,500, and that includes a wide variety of accounts. Some of those accounts are not worth nearly that much. Some of those accounts are a really good deal at the price that they are. So that's what I'm trying to kind of give you with this video, is to try and suss that out, be able to tell which ones are a good deal, which ones aren't a good deal, and part of it depends on what you're looking for. So if you're one of the things that you're looking for is actually the server, and people never post their server when they're posting accounts that they're selling. It's it's a little bit of anonymity. It's people don't want everyone to know that they're selling, or they don't want people to be able to kind of know everything about it before, without having to inquire. And so typically uh, they'll make you reach out to them and ask for kind of the some of the details there, and then I'm sure they'll give you the server and stuff like that. For the server placement, I would there's kind of a couple things that are worth determining. One, is the server a really good Battlefield server? Like, do they have a really good alliance that is really good for Battlefield or SVS or something like that? Really works well as a team. Accounts on those servers tend to go for a little bit more money because, quite honestly, it's fun to play. It's fun to play with those servers. So uh, if we look at kind of the alliance ranking, uh, let's look at the season ranking for example. If you're one of like the top, well, this is not that's not actually what I wanted to do. I actually want this view. Um, which isn't separated by continents. So if you're looking for a really good Battlefield server, you can look at some of these lists. And I mean, honestly, if you're in the top like 20, even top like 50, you're in a pretty good Battlefield server, and it'll be fun. You'll be able to join the battlefields. You'll hopefully be running a bunch of rallies. You'll be playing against good people, so that it's fun and you're actually using what you're building up. Um, you can do the same thing with SVS rankings, uh, if it'll load here. So yeah, I mean, these tend to fluctuate a little bit, but yeah, it's if you're really interested in doing SVS, like definitely join one of these servers. Like they tend to be also the top like Battlefield servers as well, but as you can see, my server is not doing super well in SVS. We uh, don't have a lot of heavy coiners and stuff on our server, but that's besides the point. There's like some Rockstar servers, of course, like server 302, that's Sing server. Like they're really good in both Battlefield and SVS and everything. They also have had a lot of people that have spent a ton of money on their account, and they had a really good merge with another pretty decent server in their continent. So that just gave them more and more power. And so if you're looking to buy an account and it happens to be on one of these servers, that's a huge plus. If you're looking for that. The other thing is, if you're looking to kind of be the big dog on a server, then you might not want to be on a top server. If you're looking to be like the best person on that server, for example, if you want to be the top power ranking, if you want to have the top generals on your server, uh, then you might not want to go to the best servers, because those people are dumping a ton of money and a ton of time and everything into their accounts, and it's going to be a lot harder to compete. Personally, for me, I'm way more into the team aspects of it, winning battlefields, SVS, stuff like that, than just being kind of the best player on the server. Being the best player on the server when you can't really do rallies and you can't really do really exciting things, in my opinion, is not a lot of fun. There's a limit to how much you can do solo, and that limit has raised a bit with the military academy and the Civ gear and kind of that pay gap, but it's not gone, right? And it still is more expensive to play by yourself than it is to play in a rally. You know, if you're rallying someone in SVS or in Battlefield, like you're taking off a lot of their troops. If you're soloing them, if they're a big player, you might still come out ahead if you have really good buffs, but you're not going to be you're losing a lot of troops to equal their troops. You know, you might be taking 400 million power for your like 200 or 300 million power. So it's like, yeah, it's a game of inches instead of a game of miles, where if you're rallying them and you have a really solid team, you might lose like, I mean, 100 million power to like 5 billion. You know, it's that unbalanced when you win sometimes. So that's something to consider. The other thing is a newer server versus an older server. So C1 server versus kind of the newest servers. The newer servers are obviously people aren't built up as much. You know, they tend to have a lot of heavy coiners. They get better packs and stuff like that. New things are released to them first before it's released to C1 servers. I mean, the we still don't have skill books for debuffs, where those were released to some like uh, C4 servers, I think, a long time ago. And so that kind of inequity, you know, it makes some players want to go to a newer server because they know that's where new stuff is going to be released. But on the other hand, I would say that, well, another thing that I would say about the newer servers is that it can be a little bit easier to place well in like All Stars and Challenge and stuff like that, if you're on a newer server and you have a really solid team, just because people haven't been playing as long, people don't haven't like fine-tuned their battle mechanics, and they don't have billions and billions of power. I mean, people are absolutely huge, of course. Like I'm not not disputing that. There was a time when Sir Philip was, you know, like, I don't know, like 20 billion power when he was playing against people who were less than a billion in SVS, or not in SVS, in All Stars. And so like he was soloing people and everyone else was rallying. And so, you know, that makes it easier if you're kind of that bigger player on the newer servers. But one thing I will say for the older servers is that there's a lot of accounts there that people have played for a long time that people are getting ready to sell because they've invested so much time in it, and they're not really getting the same return for the amount of time that they're playing anymore. And so they're just kind of bored with it, and they're trying to get out. But one of the good things about the old servers, this I would say like C1, you know, some of C2, is that there's a lot of good teamwork. There's a lot of good, you know, alliances and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if you look at like the Battlefield rankings, like most of these servers are still in C1 at the beginning. There's starting to be more, you know, kind of newer servers, but still like there's a lot of C1 servers because those C1 servers have developed, you know, their accounts really well. They've they're really good at the teamwork. You know, they go into Battlefield, they know how to rally, they know what to look for, they know how to kill people. And so it's not quite the same as a lot of, you know, newer servers. And so, and to be clear, I'm not talking shit about any newer servers. I know there's really good newer servers, but I would say on average, older servers have really good teamwork in terms of rallying and setting up and stuff like that. Uh, at least, you know, if you're on kind of an active C1 server. So that's kind of about servers. That was a little bit of a ramble. But yeah, the other things that you're looking for, uh, obviously power, troop composition, making sure that it has like all the layers that you want so that you don't have to go and build a ton. Like if a if a an account is like all T14s and you're looking to buy it, like you have to imagine that account isn't built super well. Either that or they were literally just zeroed. So there's kind of two sides of that coin. Um, but yeah, just making sure that it has kind of the troops that you want, that you're going to be able to take it and fill in some of the blanks in terms of troops and stuff like that, but not have to spend like 100 billion resources fixing the troop composition, because that's kind of a bummer. You're trying to buy this account to avoid having to spend a ton of energy and a ton of money kind of improving the account. So uh, yeah, so power, troop composition, that's obviously important. uh, Subs, if you're looking to be a PvP player, you ideally, based on the, I would say like the account size and kind of how it's built, how you want to play it, I would be really, if you're looking for a main account, you should be looking for Japan subs or good good Japan subs or good Russian subs, depending on whether you want to play kind of more of an attacking keep or a defensive keep. You can have a mix of those two too. I'm I'm not as big of a fan of having a mix just because uh, at some point, you're doing a lot more attacking than you are defending, or even if you are doing a lot of defending, like 10% attack buffs on defense really aren't going to give you as much as 10% attack buffs when attacking, in my opinion. You also want to see if they have any historical subs, see if those are good historical subs. There are some historical subs that are really not worth having on a main account. I think we actually have one on my server where basically most of the buffs are just not as good as you would expect. So actually not that one. I think it's this one. Yeah, so if we look at this one, this has alliance buffs. So basically all that needs is for it to be somewhere on your alliance. You could have this sitting in your alt account and still get those buffs. So these first two are not super important. March size capacity, okay, that's great. But then ground troop HP, like that's not really worth the sub slot in my opinion. You could have this in your alliance and get those first two skills and you're still doing pretty well. And I would rather have a gold Japan at that point. The other thing with I will say about subs is that uh, there tends to be a little bit more of a sub disparity on kind of new versus old servers. For newer servers, I would be really looking for I mean, it depends on your budget, but if you're looking for a really solid account, these should be really mostly gold and purple subs, either again of Japan or Russian. If there's too many blues, I mean, you can see my account has a ton of blues. If there's too many blue account or blue subs on a newer server, that kind of means that maybe they just weren't didn't grab the right subs or didn't kind of invest in the subsidy kind of events and stuff like that. And those are just a lot harder to get. Granted, the difference isn't huge, but it still is a difference. And so if you're looking for a really stellar account, you want those subs to be there because it's harder and harder to get better subs. And so yeah, obviously if you have a gold sub, you don't have to win a gold sub or you don't have to attack and take a gold sub from someone else. So but I have a lot of blue subs, and you might be asking why. That's because I'm on an older C1 server, and I'm not a big coiner. And so C1 servers, they they didn't have. I mean, because they launched earlier, they had fewer subs at the beginning, and they only started releasing like these sub-city events like in the last like maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. But they've really kind of increased the rate at what they're doing these, and really like most of them are going to the big coiners. And so uh, I'm not a big coiner. I've basically most of these subs I've either traded people for resources or traded people for other subs that I was able to take or win or something like that, or just take these from other people. So this sub list was 5 years of very hard work, uh, as opposed to some of the newer servers where they were able to basically just coin a little bit and get these really good subs. So I would say if you're looking at an older server, it might be a little bit more expected that the subs aren't quite as good, just because the coining that people have done uh, probably happened before, or a lot of the coining that was done happened before subs were being offered, and it was a little bit harder to get subs. So just a disclaimer there. Yeah, so let's kind of get into what I would say some of the more important things about an account. So you want to look at what dragons they have. I would expect any account you're buying would have these two dragons. But yeah, let's look at the important dragons. Uh, I wouldn't buy an account that didn't have Wonder unlocked. Uh, Wonder is just so important. It's almost hard to play PvP without having Wonder unlocked. And so uh, if you're buying an account, you should be really questioning yourself if that account doesn't have Wonder unlocked. The one I would say the most controversial dragon is probably Nidhogg here. For and again, I would say this would be an old versus new server split. On an older server, I would expect to have Nidhogg. Uh, Older servers had a leg up on getting Nidhogg, and so any really good account on an older server should have Nidhogg. So if it doesn't have Nidhogg, I would expect that it should be in a really good alliance that you would be able to easily get Nidhogg. You'd be easily be able to place your alliance would be in the top 300 overall every single week, so that you would be able to hold a couple extra buildings, take some of the clears, and be able to unlock Nidhogg, because Nidhogg is a very important dragon. Newer servers, however, have a much harder time getting Nidhogg because they have to compete with all of the power that C1 servers have, and those alliances, those super alliances, like I said. And so I I would not expect as much a newer server account to have Nidhogg. It would be a huge plus if they do, but if they don't, it's not something that it is a bummer, but it's not something that I would immediately disqualify the account for. Um, they do seem to be trying to make it a tiny bit easier to get Nidhogg, at least at the continent level, every once in a while, particularly for All Stars qualifying, which is of course the hardest time. But if you're getting a really solid account and you have a good alliance, you should be able to get that as well. And then of course, the important dragons are the All Stars dragons. If they have any All Stars dragons, that's a huge plus. I it's not easy getting All Stars dragons, depending on what server you're on, what continent you're on, and stuff like that. But it's not easy, and having these extra dragons definitely helps. For example, if you have if you don't have a sorry, that's not what I want to do. If you don't have an All Stars dragon, it is actually impossible to unlock this one, the Domain of Supremacy, because you need 6 dragons at level 15. And I know that sounds super far away right now, but I'm going to tell you that a lot of people will have that, in 6 months or however it is, because it kind of scales exponentially as you're feeding the dragons. But if you don't have at least one All-Stars dragon and Nidhogg, you're not going to be able to unlock that, and so you're going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. Granted, if you're buying the right server, the right account in the right server, it might be easier to unlock these dragons in All Stars if it has the right kind of power and stuff like that. So definitely super important. Dragons are hard to unlock, so having an account that has a lot of dragons unlocked is a huge plus. Also, feeding dragons is a pain. Getting Nidhogg, uh, Layden, and any of these dragons to level 10, level 11, level 12, eventually to 15 is costs a lot, in terms of time, really. Unless you're, well, either time or gems, and regardless, a lot of materials. And so if those are already done, you're kind of that much further ahead of everyone. So then I would say maybe the second most important thing of an account is the research, the tech power. So you can see the tech power. My tech power isn't super great, but whatever. I've done important research. I haven't done. There's a lot in the normal academy that I just haven't done. That's, in my opinion, not very important. For example, food transport, any of these transportation ones, relic exploration. None of the things that don't give me buffs are really done. I haven't really done a ton of those just because for me they're not worth it. I'm still working through some of these. For example, the recovery one I've done almost none of. So there's a lot of tech power there that a lot of people have, but in my opinion, it's kind of fluff uh, tech power. It's not super important. I have done a decent amount in Military Academy. As you can see, I have Military Academy 5, so and I have it unlocked to 5. Some of them or a decent number of them I've done kind of the minimum to get it unlocked. But that still gives me a pretty well balanced set of buffs and stuff like that. But if you're looking to buy an account, you want it to be have really high tech power. You want to check to see kind of what tech is actually done, and you want a lot of it to be in the military academy. Um, and if they don't have high tech power, you for sure want them to have a lot of tactic scrolls, because tactic scrolls means that you could do additional research. So if you don't have tactic scrolls and the research power is pretty low, that means it's going to be just an uphill battle to try and get that account to be a powerhouse, because it's tactic scrolls are one of the limiting things. Yes, you can kill a bunch of Ymers, and you can get, I would say, maybe like 500 to 1,000 tactic trolls per week on Ymir days, if you're in a pretty good alliance. But still, like it it's a lot of grinding. You have to be online a lot. You have to actively be killing these Ymirs, and if you're not in the right alliance, that might be costing you a lot of wounded and stuff like that to actually go and kill them. So uh, definitely something that's worth determining, especially if they have low tech power. Do they actually have the tactics trolls to kind of run through a bunch of research? I've seen so many people who have, basically an entire screen of tactics scrolls that have spent a ton of money on it, that were able to kind of spend money when you were able to get a ton of tactics scrolls for your money, and they're living the good life now, because they're able to keep doing the research, and they're bounded by speeds and gold instead of by tactics scrolls. Um, and especially if you're looking to not spend a ton of money, you want that research and the tactic scrolls to be high. So one thing I forgot to mention for dragons is you also want to look at the talents, see kind of which ones are max. The max of for these are level 40. So see which ones are max, see how much is left to do. Again, if there's not a lot maxed, see how many uh, of the dragon source fragments they have to see, okay, can I go in and run through a bunch of these and increase my buffs, kind of immediately. So then I would say, that's funny. Evony really wants you to buy packs, so uh, it basically triggers this pack anytime you open up talents or you open up the dragons too much. It'll just pop up. It's super easy to pop. Uh, but like I said, I'm not coining, so I just look at it and chuckle a little bit and then move on. So finally, we get to probably what I would say is the most important thing on an account that you're looking to not spend a lot of money kind of going forward. You're looking to kind of try and uh, invest in buying it, but not trying to have to spend a ton of money every week. And that's the Civ gear. Like if you're buying a really good account, you want as much Civ gear as possible because you know, while you can now get kind of those remaining pieces that you don't have, you're not limited by like the specific event anymore. It still costs a lot of money, and so uh, if you're looking to not have to keep investing that amount of money, you want these to be basically fully opened. And some of them are less important to have open. I would say maybe like this one, the Rurik set is not super important. I do really like the leg armor. I think it's probably the best leg armor for ground. But a lot of the other ones are. I mean, it's for monsters, and so for most people, having your mount PvP gear will be plenty fine for monsters. It's not really going to change all that much. Um, and then there's kind of important pieces that you want to see if you have. So the Abbas bracers, if you're trying to do siege rallies, you really want this one. And kind of similarly, the Choreo bracers. Both of those have siege machine attack bonuses, so that's super super critical. Um, so that's definitely very important. Having full sets are also really important because it gives you additional bonuses. I have none of them, um, but uh, that's kind of the relic of not spending a bunch of money. Kind of going hand in hand is the Civ treasure, the level of these. Uh, they just scale up and up, and so if you're looking for a really good account, I would expect kind of most of them would have level 3 Civ gear, or not Civ gear, Civ treasures, and kind of be working on their way to level 4. Some of them will be too kind of close to level 3. But again, this stuff is very painstaking to get. Yeah, you can get them a lot of different ways, but it just takes a long time and is really hard to do quickly unless you're spending a lot of money. So that kind of brings us to the last important piece that I will kind of talk about here is uh, the decorations or additional buffs that you can get. So I kind of showed one of them, these dragon buffs. I kind of expect that everyone will kind of get the domain of temple in kind of the coming months because people will be able to slowly increase their dragons levels and will actually be able to get 3 to level 12 in a reasonable timeline. Um, but the level 6 one, that one's or the 6 at level 15. that one's crazy. If anyone has that, they're a serious coiner. This is going to be a really good account. But really, what I was mostly talking about is the castle decorations that you can have. So, uh, I mean, some of the old castles will have like the All Stars Battlefield Champion. These things that don't really give you a lot of buffs. I mean, okay, some of these are like the newer castles, but uh, those are cool. It's kind of a bragging right, but not something that's super important. Then you kind of have the paid castles. Each one of these will give you additional own to activate skills, which keep in keep increasing your buffs and your research and stuff like that. And so that's the more that you have of those, the better. And but I will say that they do tend to. It does seem like they're kind of re-releasing some of these. So like, oh, okay, like they realize that people miss this castle and they really like this castle, so they'll re-release it as kind of the top cake level. Again, you're probably not looking to spend that much money if you're already buying an account, but it is a possibility. But the ones that you're not going to be able to buy are the All Stars castles. And so, looking at an account that has a lot of All Stars keeps, these ones are going to be permanent and they're not going to be able to be bought. And so these are unique buffs to the accounts that were in those All Stars. And so you'll have different buffs here. The original ones didn't really have good buffs, at least not good owned activate buffs. Like that one is just training capacity 1,000. But if you use it, you get all troops attack 10%. That's still better than any castle that I have. So uh, it still is worth it. And then you kind of get more and more as you kind of go up. There's some that I really like. Uh, this one's kind of nice for mount slash ground rallying capacity. Rallying capacity is pretty important too, and then you get that enemy troop defense. This one I really like because it has the marching range troop attack. I think there and rallying capacity. I think there are some better castles for like straight buffs that you can buy that are in the later All Stars, but this is a really really solid keep. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're all good in their own ways, and so uh, if any account has an All Stars keep, that is a huge bonus. Ultimately the buffs aren't going to be huge for that, but they do stack if they have multiple of the All Stars keeps. You get at least the own to activate for all of the ones that you have, and then whichever one you happen to have active at that time, you'll also have those buffs. So those are, and again, you're not going to be able to buy these keeps. So if you're looking at a specific keep that you really like, for example, I really really like this keep. It has really good siege and range troop buffs. If you're joining the rally, the other one is better if you're setting the rally, but this one's really good and it's basically a really good keep to have if you're in a really good rallying alliance because you're going to be doing a lot of range and siege attacks. So this is super important. This one's super great for ground. Um, but yeah, again, not going to go through all of them. But those are kind of the ones that I like. Um, so yeah, these are kind of the most important things that I would look for in when you're buying a castle. I know this has been a long rambling video, but hopefully this has kind of cleared things up for you. There's a lot of accounts. It kind of seems like everyone thinks that their account is worth $1,200 to $1,500. Uh, and really, that's not true. There's a lot of really good accounts that are being sold for that price point, but there's also a lot of really bad accounts that are being sold for that price point. So what I would recommend, in addition to looking for all these things, also just kind of get a sense for the market. Look at what accounts are being offered and at kind of what price points. And just because someone posts an account that uh, at a certain price point doesn't mean that that's what they're going to sell it for. They might sell it for something that's significantly less than that because they're just trying to get something out of it. So yeah, it's always willing to it's always worth you know messaging the people and trying to figure it out. As always, be careful of being scammed. I know that that's something that has happened over the years, and it's really kind of sad. But just be careful. Make sure that you're kind of keeping yourself safe in all that, so you're not getting scammed and losing a bunch of money. Let me know if you guys are interested in me featuring different accounts that are going up for sale, or uh, maybe even acting as an intermediary on an account buying, so that you feel a little bit more secure on things. Uh, Let me know. I'm happy to do those things. Not I personally have never actually bought an account, so I don't I don't have a lot of I'm not going to tell you here's what you should do in terms of, the order of exchanging things or anything like that, but I am happy to help showcase any accounts, and stuff like that if people are interested in seeing that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me today, as always. And like I said, please do subscribe. If you're watching this and enjoying these videos, please do subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And also like the videos to keep that YouTube algorithm going and stuff like that. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.